Hi everyone, today we will talk about equilibrium of force, system, and moment. The body is said to be in equilibrium if the resultant of all forces acting on it is equal to zero. So, there are two major types of static equilibrium, namely translational equilibrium and rotational equilibrium. The formulas must be the summation of force acting along x-axis or horizontal axis is equal to 0, and summation of forces Fy is equal to 0, or the forces acting along y-axis or all forces acting vertically. Parallel force system, summation of force is equal to 0 and the summation of moment is equal to 0 because we are talking about equilibrium. Non-concurrent, non-parallel force system. Ito yung formula niya. Summation of Fx is equal to 0. Summation of Fy is equal to 0. And summation of moment at point O is equal to 0. The equilibrium of concurrent force system in static, a body is said to be in equilibrium when the force system acting upon it has a zero resultant. So, the sum of all forces in the x direction of horizontal is equal to 0. Lagi siyang 0. Horizontal or in x direction, laging equal to 0. Summation of force along x-axis is equal to 0 also. So, the sum of all forces in y direction or vertical is equal to 0. Parehas lang din. 0 siya. Kasi, sabi ko nga kanina, we are talking about equilibrium. So, important points for equilibrium. Two forces are in equilibrium if they are equal and oppositely directed. Three coplanar forces in equilibrium are concurrent. Three or more concurrent forces in equilibrium form a closed polygon when connected in head-tail manner. For this example, the cable and boom shown in figure support a load of 600 lb. As you can see, meron ditong load going down kasi load siya. So, going down 600 lb. Determine the tensile force T in the cable and the compressive force C in the boom. So, pag sinabing tensile force, palayo siya doon sa body or sa load. So, we have a tensile force, T, and compressive force na letter C. So, meron ding compressive force na C. So, magkakaroon tayo ng FBD na ganyan. So, ang FBD natin ay meron ditong X and Y. So, si T and si C tsaka ganyan. Or, pwede natin itong i-extend dito. Pag ganyan. Para hindi tayo malito. Yan. Ay. Sorry. Erase all. So, ulitin ko. meron ditong C, meron ditong T, at meron ditong going down na 600. So, ang kailangan natin, ang requirement dito is to know the force T and the compressive force C. So, para makuha natin, since this is our FBD, ayan, free body diagram, pwede natin gamitin yung formula ng summation of forces acting on horizontal. Summation of forces H is equal to 0. So, lahat ng forces na nag-act horizontally is ilalagay natin. Or, summation of forces equals 0. Yan. Paras lang po yan. And, ayan, ang angle natin, don't forget, may angle to na 30 degrees. So, ito, ang angle nito, ilan kaya? Ilan kaya yung magiging angle niya? Angle nito ay, kung i-extend mo to, ganyan, angle nito is equal ganito. Is equal to 45 degrees pa din. So, ang magiging summation of forces, so, pag pataas, positive, ay pag pa-right, positive. So, ito si C, cosine 45, minus T, cosine 30, equal to 0. So, para makuha ko si C, cosine 45 minus T ay equal to T cosine 30. So, CC is equal to 1.22470. Okay, this is the first equation. So, for the summation of forces vertical or summation of forces Y is equal to 0. So, lahat naman ng forces acting sa Y-axis. Okay? Or vertically. Magiging T sine 30 plus, kasi ang assumption natin positive yung going up. So, sine 30 plus C sine 45 minus 600 equal to 0. So, para makuha natin, T sine 30. So, si equation 1, equate natin dito. Itong si C, si letter C, papalitan natin ng equation 1. Since C is equal to 1.22470 times sine 45 minus 600 equals 0. So, to solve, makukuha natin si T is equal to 439.24 pounds. Ayan. And that's the answer for letter T. Para makuha mo naman si compressive force na C, gagamitin mo lang yang formula na yan. Kaya magiging C is equal to 1.2247 times 439.24. And C is equal to 537.94 pounds. Ayan. So, pag equilibrium, lagi nyong i-equal sa 0. Katulad ng formula natin kanina. So, this is the actual solution for this sample problem. As you can see, si T is equal to 439.24 pounds and si C is 537.94 pounds. So, nakuha naman natin yung tensile force and the compressive force for this sample problem. Equilibrium of parallel force system. So, the sum of all forces is equal to 0 and the sum of moment at any point is equal to 0. So, this is our equation. And for the next slide, we will talk about the first problem solving, determine the reactions for the beam shown in figure. So, this sample problem composed of different loads. So, meron tayo dito 300, 400, and 100 lb times feet. So, ang first things first, kailangan natin makuha yung load nitong 100 lb per feet since this is a rectangular one. As discussed dun sa mga previous lesson natin, para makuha natin yan is maglalagay lang tayo dito ng arrow sa gitna niya, and ang gitna niya ay kung ito ay 6 plus 8, magiging 14 yung pinaka-distance niya. So, this is 7 and this is 7 feet. Okay, so kung 100 to, ita-times mo lang siya kung ilan yung pinaka-length niya. 100 times 6 plus 8. So, 6 plus 8 is equal to 14 times 100 equals 1,400 lb. So, lahat na parehas na yung load natin. So, para makuha yung resultant natin na R1 and R2, yung reaction yan, R1 and R2, kailangan na alam natin kung saan tayo magmo-moment, saang point tayo magmo-moment. Ang technique lang dyan is, kailangan natin humanap ng point na kung saan doon tayo magmo-moment para may makuha tayong value ng kahit anong reaction. Yan. For this one, napili ko mag-moment dito sa point na to. Summation of moment at point R2 is equal to 0 where the clockwise direction is positive and the counterclockwise is negative. Okay? So, itong 300 muna na unahin natin. So, 300 times ang distance na is 6 plus 8 plus 2 is equal to 16. And ang direction niya is magiging paganyan papunta doon sa point na to. Kaya, yung direction na yan is negative. Counterclockwise. So, pagdating naman, sunod naman dito kay 100 lb per feet. Diba, na-compute natin kanina na this is 1,400 pounds. So, ganyan na yung kukompute natin. And this is 7 feet. So, ang direction niya is negative pa din kasi counterclockwise siya. So, 1,400 times 7 plus 2. Bakit 7 plus 2? Kasi may plus 2 pa dito papunta sa point. Kaya magiging 9 siya. And also, si R1. Si R1 is paganyan yung paganyan naman yung direction niya. Kaya positive R1 times 10. And si R2, makakancel siya kasi ang distance niya dito sa certain point is 0. And pagdating dito sa 400, ang magiging direction niya is clockwise plus 400 times 4 inches. Ay 4 feet. Okay. So, all over equal to 0 kasi naka-equilibrium tayo. So, para makuha si R1 times 10 is equal to lahat po mapupunta sa kabila. Mapupunta sa kabila kaya i-type natin sa calcu 1,400 times 9 plus 300 times 16 plus ay minus 400 times 4. Kaya magiging 15,800. And si R1, para makancel tong si 10, times ko sa 1 over 10, ang magiging value ni R1 is 1,580 pounds. Ayan. So, meron na tayong first answer ng R1. And to continue, ayan, magsa-summation of moment naman tayo. Summation of moment, dun naman sa R1. Dito, yung point na to. So, eto, ganun pa din. 1,400. 7 to. 7 yung distance niya. So, equal to 0, positive tong clockwise and counterclockwise negative. So, ang 300 pounds times 6 inches, ay 6 feet. Kaya, ang magiging direction niya is negative pa din. And ito naman si 1,400, positive 1,400. Pero ang magiging distance niya ay 7 feet minus 6. Ayan. And ito naman si R2. Si R2 na ang magiging direction niya is pa ganito. Kaya negative siya. Negative R2 times yung distance niya is 8 plus 2 and si 400 ang direction niya is positive. 400 times 8 plus 2 plus 4. Okay. So, to solve is equal to 0. Si R2, yan. Si R2 is equal to, ay times 10. Tapos, solve natin sa calculator, negative 300 times 6 plus 1,400 times 1 and plus 400 times 14. Is equal to 5,200. And para ma-cancel, 1 over 10, R2 is equal to 520 pounds. So, makukuha natin siya dyan. For checking, meron tayong summation of forces along y-axis is equal to lahat ng pa-vertical is check natin kung tama. So, kung si R1, kanina nakuha natin is 1,580. Yan, going up. So, going up is positive. Kaya, ang kailangan mag-i-equal sa 0 lahat ng forces na nag-act dito sa body na to. Okay, so 300 going down. 300 minus 300 plus R1 minus 1,400 plus R2 minus 400 equal to 0. Since etong si R1 equals siya sa 1,580 and si R2 equal siya sa 520. So, isolve natin. Negative 300 plus 1,580 minus 1,400 plus 520 minus 400 equals 0 is equal to 0. Ibig sabihin, tama yung naging sagot natin for this sample problem. And para maayos yung solution natin, this one is the answer. Yan. So, same lang. It means tama yung naging solution natin. Equilibrium of non-concurrent force system. There are 3 equilibrium conditions that can be used for non-concurrent, non-parallel force system. Ganun pa din pag sinabing equilibrium, lahat ng mga forces is equal to 0. Like for this one, summation of FH, summation of FV, and summation of moment at O. So the 3 equilibrium conditions can solve up to 3 unknowns in the system. If the system involves more than 3 unknowns, it is called indeterminate. So, indeterminate structures are beyond the scope of engineering mechanics. It is one of the topics in strength of materials and theory of structures and sa structural design natin. So, right now, ang pag-uusapan lang natin is yung equilibrium of non-concurrent force system. Hindi tayo magbibigay ng 3 unknowns kasi indeterminate na yung magiging tawag dyan. Okay, for the last example, yan. Sample problem. A boom AB is supported in a horizontal position by a hinge A and a cable which runs from C over a small pulley at D as shown in figure. Compute the tension T. Yun yung requirement, tension T in the cable and the horizontal and vertical components of the reaction at A. Neglect the size of pulley at D. Ayan. So, we will neglect the size of the pulley doon sa D. Ito, this is pulley. Ayan. Since we will neglect the size of the pulley at D, so magkakaroon ng extension dito. This is letter T. This is the tension. So, dito naman sa hinge, meron tayo ditong reactions na A, V, and AH. So, ganyan siya. So, ayan, for the free body diagram, kakaroon tayo dito ng AH and AV. Tapos going down to 200 pounds. T. And then 100 pounds. Ayan. Para makuha natin slope nito, ang slope po na gagamitin natin dito ay 1 over 2. Sorry, 1 over 2. Ayan. So, bakit naging 1 over 2? This is 4 and this is 8. So, 1/2 yung slope niya. Square root of 5 yung magiging hypotenuse niya. So, para makuha natin, ang requirement dito is compute the tension T. So, letter T lang yung kailangan natin. Si T lang. Okay. So, para makuha si T, compute the tension T and also the horizontal and vertical components of the reaction at A. So, etong dalawa, si AH at saka si AV, kailangan din natin yan. So, para makuha natin si T, magsa-summation of moment tayo along A. At A. Dito sa A. So, C equal to 0 and positive yung clockwise. Kaya ang magiging formula natin is T. Yan, unahin natin si T. T times, kasi ito 2 ay at 1, kaya 2, tapos ito square root of 5 over square root of 5. Yan. Times mo siya sa, ilan yung distance nito? 2 feet and 2 feet. So, 4 siya. Okay. And, also, dito sa, magiging, ang direction niya is pa ganito. Kaya, negative siya. Tapos, dito naman sa 200 plus 200 times 2 and plus 100 times, ang distance niya ay ito, 6. 100 times 6. So, para makuha mo si T is equal to 279.51 pounds. Ayan. And that's the answer for the first requirement. Tension T is equal to 279.51 pounds. Ayan. And for the reactions, gagamit tayo ng summation of forces vertical and summation of forces horizontally. So, summation of forces vertical is equal to 0. So, lahat ng forces na to, wala na tong distance kasi yung moment is distance times force. Pag summation of forces, force lang, yung mismong force lang. So, sa V is positive yung going up. Magiging si AV minus 200 minus 100 and plus T times 2 over square root of 5 equal to 0. So, makukuha natin si AV kasi si T is equal to 279.51. AV is equal to 500 pounds. And that's the answer for AV. And for summation of forces horizontal is equal to 0. Positive yung to the right. Ayan. Si AH positive minus si T times 1 over square root of 5 equal to 0. Since T is equal to 279, we will get the reaction AH 125 pounds. So, and that's the answer for this sample problem. This is the complete solution. And that's it. Thank you so much guys for listening.